Okay, on to step 2. We're going to be doing the outlining the project table. And just like the inputs table, we're going to bold, underline, and center the title across the selection. So let's start with that. Going to go to the project. In A13, Shift, and I'm going to go across the column G, and then Control 1 for formatting, Control Tab to go to alignment, Tab down to horizontal, arrow down, end, up, 1, center across selection. Enter to select that, and then enter to OK the table. And also we're going to, while we have it selected, Control B for bold and Control U for underline. Then, even though it's not mentioned in the instructions, I want these columns below that in line 14 grayed out. So Alt HH, and then go down to a nice gray, enter. And then I also want a line above them and below them. So Alt HB for border, and then I want it to, and it's about 3/4 of the way down, top and the D for the end of and, bottom border, so it's D. And then I'm going to put the years across here. I'm going to start with year 0, the year that we initially invest in the project. So 0, and then across equal what it was, how many it was last year, which is 0 plus 1, enter, and I'm going to autofill that across. Control R. Now I like to have the word year here. And you might say, if you type the word year 0 or year 1, year 2, that is going to make it so that it's no longer a number, it's a label. And I want it to still be a number. I want to show you that you can have both. And so select all of them, start with the 0 and go Shift all the way across, and go Control 1 to get to formatting. Now remember I said it goes Control Tab to go to the next one, it goes Shift Control Shift Tab to go to the previous one, and then Tab down, and then End down to Custom, Tab again to get to the type. And I'm going to put in full quotations the word year with capital R, and then a space, because I want there to be a space between the year and the number, and close quotations. And then you might think that I'm going to put a pound sign, but I'm not. I'm going to put a 0, because a pound sign would say, if it's 0, ignore it. Unless it's like, 120, then you have to put the 0 to make it 120. But if it's just by itself, then ignore it. And I don't want to ignore it. I want it to show the year 0. So I'm going to put a 0 there saying don't ignore zeros. And then enter. There you are. They are numbers that are also labels. Good. So now the initial outlay is negative because it's a negative number. We're spending it. And it's a combination of the initial capital investment and the cost of buildings and equipment. So equal negative, open bracket, the initial capital investment plus the cost of buildings and equipment, close bracket. There. Now I want the number format to be in this table the accounting number format, where I'm going to have brackets instead of a minus sign, and I want it to be colored red. And I want zeros to be a dash or a negative minus sign. And I'm going to do that for the whole table, not just this cell. So go to the first cell of the table, Shift down to line, I think it's 26, yeah, there it is, and across to column G, and then go Control 1 to go to numbers format. Tab, and then End, and then Tab into the type of custom. And we're going to first declare what positive numbers will be, and then a semicolon, what number negative numbers will be, and then a semicolon, and how zeros are to be treated. So first for the positive number, it's pound, comma, pound, pound, pound. It could be any numbers. If it's just a 0, I'm going to say later, I don't want you to show the number 0, because sometimes in the past you'd see me put a 0 there. I don't want that. I want to ignore it, but later I'm going to say I want to make it a dash. Now, when I do the negative numbers and putting in brackets, because in Excel numbers are aligned to the right, it's going to shift it slightly to the left in order to put that closed bracket on it. And that will misalign the commas, the thousands comma in this, and I don't want it to be misaligned. So I want to also shift my positive numbers slightly to the left, the same amount, as though there were a bracket there, even though there won't be. And the way to tell that, to Excel that, is to put an underscore. That means shift it to the left. But the next question becomes, how much do you want to shift it to the left? And the answer is the amount that you do when you have a closed bracket. So put a closed bracket there. And then semicolon. Now for the negative numbers. we want to make them red color, so it's in square brackets, R-E-D, lowercase e-d, close square brackets. And then I'm going to put it in brackets, parentheses, so parenthesis, and then the same number type, pound, comma, pound, 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 close brackets. You'll see a sample right above it. The sample cannot show colors in this dialog box, that's why it's not showing colored red, but you do see the brackets or the parentheses and the commas. Now I'm done with negatives, so I'm going to put a semicolon. And now I want to say that zeros are a hyphen, or the same as a minus sign, and then enter. Now I got the hashtags because it's not wide enough, but I'm going to make it wide enough. I'm going to go to that cell, Alt-H-O-I, and there it is. And then just to prove to you that zeros are working, I'm just going to go down one and just put a 0 here. See, it turns into a dash. I'm just going to get rid of it because I actually don't want a 0 there. Then I'm going to Control S to save what we've done. And then the next instruction is unit sales. I'm going to refer to or cite the catfish sales per year. And so it's going to be equal, and catfish sales per year in pounds is 60,000. I'm going to F4 it because it'll autofill across, enter. All right, then sales. Sales is unit sales times price per pound. So that's equal, the unit sales times price per pound is $60. And I'm going to F4 this $60 because I'm going to eventually autofill across all the 5 years, and then enter. And then variable sales equal what it is that year multiplied by the variable cost, F4. And then the fixed cost is just equal fixed cost in cell B9, F4. The depreciation is a formula. So you'll see that it's the SLN, a straight line, that's what it stands for, depreciation formula. So it's equal SLN, and there it is. I'm going to tab to accept it. And the first thing they want is cost. That is the initial, actually it's the cost of buildings and equipment in cell B3. I'm going to F4 that, comma, what is the salvage cost? And the salvage is the terminal value of equipment in B5. And F4 that, because I'll fill this across. And then comma, how many years of life is it? It's 5 years. And F4 that, close bracket. Okay, on to the taxable cash flows. That's my revenue of the sales minus all these expenses. So equal my sales minus the sum of variable costs. I'm going to hold down shift down to all the depreciation expenses, all those 3 expenses, close bracket, enter. And then I'm going to do the taxes, so equal however much our taxable cash flow is multiplied by the tax rate, and F4 that, enter. And then I'm going to add depreciation because I want to calculate the annual after-tax cash flow, which adds back the depreciation. So just to have it handy, I'm going to go equal and refer to the depreciation expense in C20. And then calculating the annual after-tax cash flow is the taxable cash flow minus the amount of taxes I had to pay, and then plus add back the depreciation. And the terminal cash flow happens in the 5th year. So these are all ones that I'm going to autofill across. Let's select them all and go across, Control R. And then I'm also going to go to the year 5. The terminal cash flow is equal to the terminal land value. That's in cell B5, plus the initial investment. Yeah, that one. And then I want to make some lines here to make it look good. So after the depreciation expense, I'm going to make a border line between to separate all these. So it is Alt H B, and the bottom border is the very first one, O, or Alt H B O. And then the same for after right above the annual after-tax cash flow, Alt HBO. And then I'm also going to have one for the whole table, starting in column A, for the terminal cash flow, Alt HBO. Good. Now, for the total annual cash flow of first year is just referencing the initial outlay. But ever after is going to be the annual after-tax cash flow, and in case there is a terminal cash flow that year, that one. Now I'm going to autofill this across, Control R, and that is my table. I'm going to save it.